American schools. Nearly 200 educators in Atlanta were accused of systematic cheating, including changing answers on the state's standardized tests in order to boost student scores. Atlanta is one of many districts to confront cheating, but this case was unique. Educators faced criminal charges. Ultimately, 9 people were sentenced to prison. Their appeals are just now beginning. Special correspondent Lisa Stark of our partner Education Week takes a look at what's happened. It's part of our weekly series, Making the Grade.
It's been horrible.
Dana Evans was one of the Atlanta educators convicted in the cheating scandal, one of the largest in U.S. history.
There's no harder lesson than the one taught today.
The convictions came on the 8th day of jury deliberations.
Their crime was a conspiracy to fake test scores.
The story has faded from the headlines, but not from the lives of those, like Evans, still trying to clear their names. Court appeals are just beginning.
I'm not who they said I was in court. Dana Evans is not a cheater. Not a person who would hurt children in any way.
The investigation uncovered cheating at 44 schools, most of them elementary, 178 educators implicated, accused of inflating scores on standardized tests by erasing students' answers and changing them from wrong to right. So why did they do it? At the time, testing was paramount, both under federal mandates and a hard-charging superintendent, Beverly Hall, who set targets even higher than the feds. Daniel Koretz is the author of The Testing Charade.
No, this happened over a decade ago in Atlanta, Georgia. And when it happened, it took the country by storm because this really affects our kids. You know, when you send your kids to school, you're basically hoping that your kids are getting a good education and they're around competent teachers and faculty and they're being taught. And when this happened, a lot of people, they're not going to play with this. Not going to play. In fact, they charge this one case as a RICO case. And if you're familiar with Fannie Willis, she who was actually one of the lead prosecutor in Donald Trump case in Atlanta, Georgia, she was one of the lead prosecutor in that case. And they came down hard on these educators because, like I said, you can't be playing games with these kids. I mean, when you send these kids to school and when we entrust you with the responsibility of teaching your kids, we basically expect you to make sure these kids are getting the education that they need. And if they are coming up short, we don't want you to fake it. We want to get the information as parents so we can take the corrective measures that we need to take so our kids can have a good education. You just can't be doing this. And I'm saying all this to talk about what happened here in Houston over a month ago. And let's take a look at it.
$1 million in the pockets of criminals and hundreds of uncertified teachers in Texas classrooms. A teacher certification teacher scheme was taken down today. 5 Houston suspects charged, accused of trading test-taking services for cash. Fox 26's Abigail Dye has been digging into this story all day for us. Abigail, this is a huge bust, and what's really concerning is who these people are behind the bust.
Absolutely, Rashi. I mean, this is a huge operation, and 3 of those 5 charged today, they are HISD employees. And we are told that 200 teachers here in the state of Texas aren't certified to be teaching in the classrooms that they're teaching in today.
The extent of this scheme will never be fully known, but we know that at least 400 tests were taken and at least 200 teachers falsely certified.
Most of that money went into the pocket of an HISD basketball coach, Vincent Grayson. Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg says he was the kingpin who organized for teacher certification tests to be taken for cash.
Often these people had previously failed one or more attempts at the certification exam. They then drove sometimes 4 or more hours to the Houston area, and suddenly they were passing the test with flying colors.
In 2023, the Texas Education Agency noticed this, which led them to uncover the scheme. The DA says Grayson organized the ring and made $1,090,000 off of it. Nicholas Newton, HISD assistant principal, is accused of taking the tests and made off with $188,000. LaShonda Roberts, another HISD assistant principal, is accused of recruiting 90 teachers, charging around $1,000 a pop. Tawana Mason is accused of being a test proctor lookout who made $125,000. And Darian Wilhite is accused of the same thing, making about $250 per test.
The 3 teachers that were arrested were relieved of their duties. They are on leave with pay.
HISD says they don't know at this time if they've employed any teachers who got their certification by cheating.
The fraudulently certified teachers run the gamut. They're not just in the Houston area, they're not just in the Dallas area, they are literally littered throughout the state.
Worse yet, the cheating teachers include at least 2 sexual predators who, once falsely certified, had access through their employment to underage kids on campus and off.
To your knowledge, are either of those teachers former HISD employees?
I don't actually know what you're talking about at all. This was a statewide scandal. I do not know what individuals you're speaking of or if they are employees at HISD or not.
So if you meet Vincent Grayson over here, Vincent Grayson
Each
is
week here on the show, throughout the entire
20
school
year
year, we proudly present the ARS Coach
teacher
of the Week.
and also
But
the
as the school year
basketball
draws
coach.
ever so close to
And
an
this
end,
guy was named the head coach of the year in 2023 by ARS. So let's take a look at it.
Washington's basketball coach, Vincent Grayson, is our ARS Coach of the Year. And we are indeed here at Booker T. Washington for our Coach of the Year Award presentation, joined by Cindy Ressler of ARS, proud sponsor of our Coach of the Week Award all season long. And now for the recipient with Coach Grayson. Cindy, take it away.
Coach Grayson, I just want to say how pleased we are to be able to award you and congratulate you for the historical season that you've had, and like to present you with this ARS Coach of the Year Award.
All right. I'll switch sides with Cindy. And Coach, congratulations. It's been a few months now, or a couple of months now, but put into words, if you will, what this historic season meant to not just this school, but this entire community.
Every time I get interviewed, I always say, man, it's for the community. It's not for HISD. It's not for Booker T. Washington. It's for our community. And just look around. You see it right now.
They are. And why was this so special for this community?
Because this was the first time under the UIL that we made it all the way to state. And we made it not only to state, but to the state championship game. Came up a little short, but we were there.
Your signature win along the way was the regional final victory over Silsbee. That was like a state championship. What about, what do you remember most about that game?
Well, let's go back to last year when they beat us. I kind of got a little depressed. And the only thing that was on my boys' mind this year was Silsbee. And we beat Silsbee, go to state. That was a great feeling.
You got these guys behind you. How special are these guys? I know that it was this incredibly close-knit group. You used to talk about, when they wouldn't leave practice, they would just hang out and talk with you.
Well, yeah, every day after practice, we'll stay up here maybe to 7:30, 8 o'clock, and just sit around and talk. You know, I had a lot of help with these guys. Man, I love Booker T. Washington. I love the community. I love everything about it.
All right, congratulations to you guys for an incredible season, and also to Coach Vincent Grayson. Thank you, Cindy, and ARS for your...
You know, the sad thing about this whole situation is when you're a basketball coach, you're basically like a superstar to a lot of kids. A lot of kids look up to you for guidance. They look up to you for direction. And not only are you coaching a basketball team, but a lot of these kids who are mostly in the urban area don't really have a lot of father figure. So they really kind of look up to you as that father figure. And it's really sad when this happened. The basketball coach is the kingpin for a situation like this. But let's take a look at what happened when they go to court.
Was there and has more on the fourth arrest now connected to this case.
Former HISD educators trying to avoid the cameras Friday as they answered a serious allegations of a years-long statewide scheme. The two on the left out on bond, on the right now with a lower bond.
This is a serious case because it involves education. We all know that a community is strong when the education system is strong.
They're all three accused of helping teacher applicants pass certification exams, ending up in classrooms across the state without ever taking the test. This is who's who in this case. Former Booker T. Washington basketball coach Vincent Grayson is the accused ringleader. And according to prosecutors, he made more than $1 million in this scheme because the teacher applicants would pay him $2,500 to have someone else sit in their seat to pass the exam. Then these two assistant principals are also charged. LaShonda.
So that someone else was Nicholas Newton. He was the proxy test taker. So he would actually go in and sign in as these teachers and take the tests. And he also worked at Booker T. Washington as an assistant principal, as well as Vincent Grayson. Now, LaShonda Roberts over here, she works at a different high school. She was the recruiter. And somehow they were able to convince, what's her name? Darian Willites and Tiwana Guilford Mason, who are test proctor, to take these tests. And that's how this whole scheme took root. All right, let's keep going.
Roberts there on the left is accused of recruiting teachers, and Nicholas Newton on the right is accused of taking more than 400 tests on behalf of teacher applicants. Then we've got Darian Wilhite and Tiwana Mason. She's not yet in custody, but they're the test proctors accused of taking bribes and then turning a blind eye to let all of this happen. What would your message be to people who have lost trust in Coach Grayson?
My message would be what my father would say. I'm a product of a father who was a minister, who was a principal, who had to drive the bus when people didn't show up. He would tell us not to throw him away, but to reclaim him. And so we hope at the right period of time, if it becomes that the evidence is overwhelming, he would do it as all of us should do, accept responsibility and rebuild. But at this stage, we're not there yet.
Grayson's defense team standing by his side as the well-respected basketball coach, now alleged kingpin, faces up to 99 years behind bars. Overnight, a fourth arrest in the scheme of testing coordinator Darian Wilhite, accused of accepting $250 cash payments from Grayson each time she'd let Newton test in an applicant's place.
I know everyone is concerned and should be concerned.
I know she must be mad because she got the least amount of money. She got $250. And I think what happened is, from our research is they suspected fraud in Houston and they closed that facility down. So Darian, she was a new test proctor at a different location. And by the time they got to her, they were able to tell her that, look, we're only getting $500, so we're just going to pay you half. So I know she basically took $250 and gonna spend a lot of time in jail for this unnecessary crime. Now, LaShonda Roberts over here now from Yates High School. No, I'm not gonna lie. This is the hardest part for me. LaShonda Roberts, she looking good. I don't mind putting some money on her books. I mean, reach out. But she gonna spend some time in jail. There's absolutely no way she gonna get around that. She gonna spend some time in jail. But yeah, LaShonda Roberts, she looking good. So guys, let me know what you think. HRTV, like, comment, check out my other channel. We're putting out music, y'all. We're gonna put it out a lot of music. Let me know what you think.